I hope he grows up to be a good and compassionate man, a leader who makes a mark that changes the world for the better. If he's going to do that, I know he must have courage. For being a leader is about having courage. Amelia Earhart said, "Courage is the price that life exacts for granting peace. The soul that knows it not knows no release from little things." In other words, you're either up there soaring with the eagles, or you're down there mucking around in the details, worrying about all the little things, all the emails and all the stuff that gets in your way of actually doing what it is you want to do. And I would put to you that being a leader today is increasingly in our politically correct world about having courage, because it's about the courage to make tough calls that aren't always popular, to stand up for those things that you believe in, to say what you mean, as we heard from Yuri today, to tell the truth, all of which can be very difficult things to do. But I would put to you that they are at the heart of leadership. They are the soul of leadership. And if you can do that, if you can have that kind of courage, and you can do miraculous things. And this story is about that kind of courage. Now, I don't know what any of you think of when you think of courage, but to me, climbing into a tin can and firing a rocket off under my butt is right up there on my list of courageous acts. So when I think of a leader having courage, it's hard not to think of this story. 1961. The U.S. is reeling from the Cold War, locked in a bitter struggle with Russia. Its space program is faltering. And both Russia and the United States believe that the war in space is going to ultimately determine who prevails down on planet Earth. So President Kennedy did what all great leaders should do, and so few have the courage to today. He put forth a powerful and compelling vision for his people to rally behind. And that vision sounded like this.
To achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
Now, some of you weren't even born then, so let me put Kennedy's little vision statement into perspective for you. When Kennedy said that, gas was 23 cents a gallon, cars went at 50 miles an hour, transatlantic flight was a big deal, switchboards required human operators, phones were black and rotary, TVs were black and white, the microchip hadn't been invented yet, and this room full of computers couldn't do a fraction of what my little Mac laptop can do. And President Kennedy, the leader, stood up and said, "Okay, here's the plan. Everyone listening? We're going to put 3 guys in a rocket. We're going to fire it off at that moving ball of dust up there. It's going to land safely. 2 of them are going to get out. They're going to walk around for a little while, collect some dust samples, plant a flag, bounce around a little bit, climb back in. We're going to fire the rocket off, bring them safely back home through the atmosphere. They're going to land in the Pacific Ocean. We'll send out a helicopter and a raft. We'll pick them up, take them to a hospital just to make sure they haven't got any alien microbes or anything. They'll be home in time for dinner with their families." Is everyone clear on the vision? Dude! Kennedy was mocked for his vision, for possibly good reason. He was mocked for that vision and for many of the other ambitious programs that his administration put forth. And a year later, he answered his critics with perhaps his most important speech. And it sounded like this.
"We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too."
Not because it's easy, but because it's hard. Because that goal will serve to organize the best of our energies and skills. Now, of course, the critics, the naysayers, still said, "Well, yeah, that's nice, but it's impossible." But you see, by this point, Kennedy had laid down a challenge. People's imaginations had been sparked. Their brains were saying, what if? What if? What if we could do that? People's hearts were touched by the thought of bringing science fiction to life. And when imagination and fact, that logic of the brain, come into conflict, the imagination will win every single time. From Kennedy's challenge, a team was born. A team of leaders who understood that impossible really means, okay guys, what's it going to take to get this done?